Hello, this is a short presentation to help you find out more about the A-level in business. I think you're definitely going to find business A-level to be something of interest to you. I think what's really an enjoyable part is it brings together lots of different subjects. You can see on there we've got accountancy, so there's lots of work on the profits, the calculations behind how businesses make themselves successfully financially. But also we look at some management science as well, how managers can motivate their workers, and equally how we can look at different leadership styles in order to make businesses successful as possible. Business clearly transcends into economics as well. We'll certainly look at how the economy and changes in the economy, obviously currently through COVID-19, will impact upon businesses. But equally we'll look at some of the psychological aspects as well. So we'll be exploring the marketing techniques, the tips and techniques that businesses use to encourage us to buy products, and therefore look at some of the ways in which they can get into our heads and try and convince us that a price is worth paying for a product. And then alongside that, we've got lots of laws and regulations that businesses have to abide by, and we'll certainly be exploring how they impact. So for example, we may well be looking at environmental law on emissions. It could well be looking at the minimum wage. It could equally be any bans on smoking in public places and how that could affect certain businesses from that point of view. I think what you'll find with the Business A-level is it's something which is going to allow you to explore how businesses start, how they grow, and ultimately how they become successful. We use lots of case studies of UK and international businesses to get you to find out more about how businesses operate in the real world. Now, I think what is a good tip really, and something you'll see on the A-level, is we do try and bring in the real world into the classroom, and therefore we are exploring many topical issues. So a key one, of course, at the moment is the COVID-19 pandemic, and a big part of our work will be looking at following the news, currently looking at how businesses can respond and adapt and hopefully survive during this pandemic, and equally looking at the impact of governmental support, for example the furlough scheme, and how that impacts and affects businesses. Of course, the Brexit referendum has led to a major change and has an impact on businesses and how they operate, which countries they may trade with, how they will be able to recruit workers going forward. And obviously with that deal or no deal potentially in January, that's going to have big ramifications. So we'll certainly have a look at how businesses and consumers will be affected by Brexit. More micro, I suppose, we look at how businesses operate. A big growth area has been the likes of Uber, Deliveroo, Just Eat, and the gig economy, and therefore one part of business is we do look at the rights of workers and whether businesses are exploiting those workers. So a good ethical topic area, that one. Equally looking at the environmental status, looking at long-term. So we consider therefore whether businesses should be focusing on the environment and operating more sustainably. Lots of case studies we'll look at in terms of cutting pollution, taking out single-use plastics, for example, and whether that is something businesses should be factoring in to their business models, and maybe look at how they can incorporate that into their objectives rather than focusing on profits. International dimensions continue, recognising major trade partners around the world. And a big part of the work in year 13 is actually looking at how businesses can enter and grow by expanding into new overseas markets, and therefore we have a big focus on China and India on the course as to how businesses can try and enter and compete in those large markets overseas. Equally, we'll look at the individuals who run the organisations. You've got on screen there some high profile leaders of major global businesses, and therefore we'll certainly look at the different leadership styles within businesses and how that can impact upon the success. Okay, so how do you know that this is the right A-level for you? And I suppose we've looked at some of the topical areas, the news stories, the case studies that you would explore within the A-level, but I think on a more general point, this is certainly an A-level subject where you're going to get the chance to get your view across in the classroom with lots of business examples and case studies. Now you are going to have to make some recommendations on strategies, the next course of action for business. You'll be working together on groups and presentations. Indeed, you'll be doing a research task as part of the A-level. And therefore, if that's something that you really enjoy, communicating, sharing views, questioning the different approaches that business might have, this certainly is an A-level for you. Alongside that, the mathematics underpins a lot of our work. So the work on the finance topics, so if you enjoy the calculations, working with numbers, that's something that is going to be a feature, particularly in year 13, when we use a lot of quantitative analysis to support business decisions. I think the biggest advice, if you are someone who is really keeping up to date with the news, you like current affairs, you've got a keen interest in business, then certainly this is an A-level for you, because as I mentioned earlier, we will be looking at topical issues, we'll be looking at case studies, we bring those into the classroom, and that's going to be a big part of that. So if you're motivated by finding out more about businesses, then this certainly is the A-level for you. So to finish, really, I think it's important that you do your research. We cover the Edexcel A-level. So as you can see there's a link there on the screen to the exam board, and that will help you find out more information about the key content in more detail, and equally how you're going to be assessed in terms of those exams. That information is also available in the sixth form booklet that you've got, and you can download a copy of that. And that will tell you about the key content and some of the things that I've mentioned in the presentation. And I think equally, following the news, keeping up to date with what's happening in the UK and around the world, and follow the BBC Business website, have a look on there. That'll give you an idea of the content and some of those business themes that we will cover. So I hope that's given you a flavour of what you'll cover on A-level business.